I was raised in a Christian family. My mom, my dad, they brought me and my brothers to church every Sunday, Wednesday nights, Sunday nights. Pretty much any time the church doors were open, my family was there. We were present. We were a part of what was going on in the life of the church. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed being at the church and hearing the stories from the Bible. But it never really hit me in my life. I got baptized when you're supposed to at a Baptist church. I was 7 or 8 years old, and I knew that's what I was supposed to do. So I walked down the aisle. I talked to my pastor. He interviewed me, did the best job he could do to find out whether or not my profession of faith was genuine, and I was baptized. And for a lot of years, a lot of people would have said that I was Christian, but I wasn't. My life didn't spiral totally out of control, but sin took root in my life. Lust, my mouth was just filthy. Coarse joking, profanity. I remember my brother, who was in the military at the time, was in the Navy, was home on leave, and he was there with another Navy buddy, and they were driving me in the car, and I was just talking like I had trained myself to talk, and it was obscene and pretty profane. And my brother's friend, a sailor, looks at my brother, also a sailor, and says, "Can you get a load of the mouth on this guy back here?" And there's 2 sailors who were absolutely appalled at my mouth. I knew that wasn't what I was supposed to be about, but I didn't think much else about it. Just who I was. I remember going to church, and I would cuss at a youth group, and my friends would say, "You can't cuss in church." And I said, well, if God's everywhere, then he hears me cuss at school, and he hears me cuss at my brothers. So, there's nothing super special about this room that I shouldn't be cussing in. And my life really was just kind of dark, for a suburban kid. I didn't look like Jesus. I didn't act like Jesus. I didn't have a strong moral compass to keep me from doing stupid things and pursuing after the wrong things. And then it all changed. I was in a building like this building that I'm sitting in right now at First Baptist Church, Sugar Land. And I was sitting on the 3rd row of my church. And a man got up on one Sunday evening at a church revival. It was kind of a traveling evangelist. And he shared the message that Jesus Christ died for sins. And, I knew that I was struggling with sin. In fact, I had walked the aisle at that church at First Baptist Sugar Land probably 6 or 7 times, rededicating my life to Jesus. I think, I was sinning, I was doing what was wrong, and I said, man, I'll just rededicate, I'll get my life back right. But on that night, the gospel penetrated my heart. And the sinfulness that I had been dealing with and the wickedness that was a part of who I was became so clear to me, it became so real to me, that I just called out to God for forgiveness. I said, Jesus, if you'll forgive sin, I have plenty that needs forgiving. And I broke down and I cried. I was sitting there next to the lady who was my girlfriend at the time, and I had to freak her out, right? Because, I never cried in front of her. And I get up, I walk the aisle. I'm sure everybody in the room thinks, oh, there's that Higginbotham kid. He's probably going to rededicate his life for the 19th time. And I talked to the pastor, and I said, look, I need to get saved. I need Jesus to forgive my sins. I need to believe in Jesus Christ for the first time. I remember I went back into a back room, and a deacon at the church, Randy Blackman, sat down with me and talked to me because I had already been baptized. I already gone through that stuff and made sure that I knew what was going on. And man, God just overwhelmed me that day with his grace and with his love and his forgiveness, that he would forgive me. And it became real, personally real to me that day. And I remember leaving that and thinking, now I have to live for Jesus Christ. I have to look like Jesus Christ. And so on that day, my life began to change. Instead of serving myself, instead of seeking to be popular and cool and to fit in to the circles that I thought were so important at that time, I surrendered my life to Jesus Christ. And so I tried to do what Jesus would have me do with my friends, with my dating, with the way in which I talked. I tried to submit that, and it wasn't immediate, right? It wasn't that on the next day I never said another cuss word, and I never pushed any boundaries with my girlfriend, and I never acted sinfully or inappropriately. No, I struggled with sin. I still, today, I mean, here I am 20-something years later, still struggle with sin from time to time. I'm not done yet, but the central focus for my life changed that day. Jesus came into my life and he saved me, and I'm not the same person that I was then. And guys, that's what I want you to know. If you're out there today watching this testimony, Jesus saves. He could save a 15-year-old who had pretended to be a Christian for almost 10 years and bring him back to where he needed to be. He can save you. Wherever you've been, I want you to know that God desires a relationship with you through Jesus Christ.